Hello, I'm Bob Marks, and this is Astrology Now. This is the program for people who want to learn about astrology. Today we're going to take a look at the planet Jupiter, your Jupiter. Now, again, folks, people always ask astrologers to tell them about their sign. What's going to happen to my sign tomorrow? What other signs do I get along with best? Folks, there's a lot more to astrology than just those 12 sun signs. There's the moon sign, the Mercury sign, the Venus sign, the Mars sign, and, of course, the Jupiter sign. That's what we're going to look at today. The planet Jupiter rules good luck in the horoscope. It rules it's the planet of expansion. It shows where we feel safe. It shows where we feel free, where we don't feel threatened. It's the opposite of the planet Saturn, which we'll cover in another program. Saturn is the planet of fear, and Saturn shows what we fear the most and what we absolutely must have in order to feel safe. But wherever Jupiter is in the chart, we feel free and open. Let's take a look at the first horoscope. This is the horoscope of Whitney Houston. And what's her sun sign? Never mind. This is not a show about sun signs. Sun signs have been overemphasized too much. Whitney Houston has the planet Jupiter in the sign of Aries. You see, this is the symbol for the sign of Aries, the ram's horns. And this is the symbol for the planet Jupiter. It looks something like a number 4 with a bent back. Well, Aries is the sign of action. And she has it right there in the first house. So here is somebody who would feel a little more comfortable with action. By the way, there's something else I have to mention. The sign at the top of the chart usually is the determiner of the career. And she has the sign of Sagittarius at the top of the chart, the sign that's ruled by Jupiter. Every sign has a ruling planet. And she has Jupiter in the first house. So you might say that her career, 10th house, is her. The Jupiter is in the first house, which is her. And the Jupiter is in Aries. Again, it's fiery, it's active, it's a little bit explosive. But this angle to the top of the chart happens to be 120 degrees. In astrology, we call that a trine, and this is a lucky angle. And so she has the planet of good luck ruling the top of the chart and making a lucky angle to the top of the chart. Plus, it's in the sign of Aries, a sign where it's relatively strong, where, you know, it can expand. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So this is a great chart for success. Oh, by the way, she's got the moon there sitting right with the Jupiter. So, well, the moon is what we feel on the inside, and the moon also is the public. So here is somebody who's always going to be popular with the public, or will tend to always be popular with the public. And again, this is not somebody who will sit still. Aries is a sign that always has to have a new world to conquer. Is she an Aries sun sign? No, she's a Leo sun sign. But the Aries part of her is going to keep her moving and moving and moving. Expansion, expansion, expansion. Look for Whitney Houston to constantly be branching out into new areas. And, well, every time that Jupiter is activated, her career takes another upward swing. Let's take a look at the next horoscope. The next horoscope, well, I call this man very rich. He's been dead now for over 20 years. However, I still respect the confidence of a client. And actually, his son gave him the reading as a birthday present many years ago. And well, again, I still respect the confidence of a client. This is a man who made a fortune in the real estate field. And here we see the sign of Sagittarius, again, at a strong point. It's rising. Sagittarius is the sign ruled by Jupiter. Oh, by the way, folks, you can't just look at the position of a planet. You also have to look at the placement of the sign that planet rules. So here we have the planet Jupiter ruling the rising sign. And where does it sit? It sits in the sign of Aries, again, the sign of action, in house number 5. House number 5 rules gambling and speculation. This man saw an opening in the real estate market over 30 years ago, and he just kept buying buildings. And before you know it, he had an empire, a $1 billion empire. Well, a $500 million. He had a partner, so they shared. This man also was very lucky in the area of commodities speculation. His son told me that he speculated in sugar and managed to, well, he made money, and his partner wanted him to sell, and he refused, and the next day he lost about $1 million. And his partner insisted that he sell, and he did something that you never should do. He did what was called arguing with the tape. You know, well, he argued with the tape, but he won because the next day his sugar contracts went up to about $2 million. So he made $1 million, but what a roller coaster, down, up. Jupiter, planet of good luck, in the house of money. The Jupiter was making all sorts of stressful angles with things, so to Saturn for one thing, and to, well, to Mercury for the other, and to the Moon. This is the so-called Grand Cross. And it could be a very stressful configuration, but he did plenty with it. That Jupiter sitting in Aries gave him luck, usually at the last minute. By the way, the man had the Sun and Mars together in the third house, which is the house of the mind and communications. The man had a mind like a razor. And that Jupiter, though, was responsible for his luck and for his gambling ability. By the way, folks, if you have a copy of your horoscope at home, take it out and follow along. We're going to get to a chart that's similar to yours eventually. Now, again, let me mention that astrology is not fate. It's like headlights in a car. We turn them on at night when we're driving and we see what's in the road ahead of us. We still have to drive the car. Let's take a look at the next horoscope. The next horoscope is the chart of John Lennon. And in John Lennon's case, well, there is the sign of Sagittarius on his 9th house. That's the house of long-distance journeys. Of course, the Beatles really became, you know, had their biggest success in foreign countries. Oh, they were big in England, but again, the United States, Germany, they were big all over the world. Foreign countries, foreign success. John Lennon was born with the planet Jupiter in the 1st house, in the sign of Taurus, which that's a pretty solid position there. Again, he had the planet Saturn there too. This is a rather unusual placement because Jupiter expands and Saturn contracts. The fact that he had the Saturn sitting on top of the Jupiter made him a good organizer, and well, he and Paul McCartney, well, basically he was a member of a group. He didn't do it himself. He was a Libra sun sign, and Librans generally tend to have partners. But again, we see, just like with Whitney Houston, the planet Jupiter in the 1st house. Remember, Whitney Houston, Jupiter ruled her career, and it sat in the 1st house, so she was her career. In John Lennon's case, he had Capricorn at the top, ruled by Saturn, and Saturn sitting in the 1st house. He was his career. The Jupiter simply made for luck and expansion. There are a lot of other things in John Lennon's chart to look at because you don't become a phenomena like that simply by having Jupiter in the 1st house, but the Jupiter in the 1st house certainly was a help. Again, folks, we always have to look at the entire horoscope. There's been far too much emphasis placed on those so-called sun signs. That's not what astrology is about.